Hello everyone, this is ChakaWhat here, and today I'm going to be presenting to you my top 15 quests of Fallout 4. This list took over a week to make, so I certainly hope you enjoy it. Also, major spoilers for the main questline and the Far Harbor questline lay ahead.
Liberty Prime, back online.
15. Liberty Reprimed. In order to tip the odds in the Brotherhood's favor, Proctor Ingram has been working to bring back everyone's favorite capitalist iron giant, Liberty Prime. So after successfully completing From Within and Outside the Wire, Elder Maxon sends us to assist her in completing the project. Then Ingram sends us to convince Dr. Madison Lee to help us, which isn't very hard as every speech path leads her to joining us. Can I also just say that I love that it's two women making this happen? Anyways, from here we will need to do a little workshop crafting after finding a high-powered magnet to build Prime's actuators. After this, we're actually sent to do the fun and not dangerous at all retrieval of Prime's nukes. The only match for his nukes are kept in the Sentinel site in the glowing sea. Bring power armor for this, just do it. The facility itself is eerily quiet, but still full of feral ghouls, and one must also get past a Children of the Atom member named Brother Henry by whatever path they choose. After retrieving the nukes, we can return to the two engineers, and Proctor Ingram will grant us the honors of activating Liberty Prime. I just have so many wonderful memories of Prime from Fallout 3. It's nice to see the old guy up and running again.
Wanted to thank you. This world is overwhelming. But people like you make me feel better about coming here.
14. Boston After Dark. This railroad side quest is given by Dr. Carrington directly after returning his prototype to him. Though openly unlikable, Carrington is obviously passionate about the cause and sends us to pick up a dead drop from the lovely old man Stockton to get information on an escort mission. Once the drop is picked up, we can travel to Bunker Hill to speak with the old man. If you have Deacon with you, you get extra points for speaking overtly. Stockton tells you that raiders have prevented him from helping a synth transfer, so he requests that you clear out the old church. After we take care of some measly raiders, we are able to meet Stockton and the sweet but a little rattled synth, H222, who is left with us until Railroad member High Rise is able to meet us. Paying off sins from his past, High Rise is a sweet member who asks us to accompany him and H2 in order to fight off the dangers of Boston until we get to the Ticonderoga safe house. I feel like this game really rewards you for being a good person, and I just love how the quest really makes you feel like you're part of the Underground Railroad.
Don't listen to my son. He's the crazy one. You know this. Look at what he's done to me.
13. The Secret of the Cabot House. This is the final quest in the Cabot House questline and begins as the sole survivor returns from finding Emma Jean. Turns out the raiders have stormed Parsons State Insane Asylum, and our good friend Edward is injured and needs assistance. So after talking to Jack, we take off with the scientist to do the small chore of preventing catastrophe again. The place is swarming with raiders who essentially become cannon fodder until we come across Edward, who sent the elevator down to the basement to prevent any more raiders from getting down. Due to this, our group must go through the Sunshine and Rainbows abandoned wing of the asylum. It's actually kinda creepy, but still not too much of a challenge. Finally, we are able to unearth the secret this family has been keeping from us, their father, Lorenzo Cabot. It is there we are given the decision of whether to free Lorenzo or assist Jack in killing him, chaos or order. One thing I like about the Cabot questline is it seems like your employers genuinely care about you, especially Edward. He's a cool guy. And they're always telling you to be careful and welcome to the family. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Jesus. Found us. Sergeant Lee, grab the case. Do not let that thing out of your sight. Everyone inside the museum, now!
Major, what found us?
12. The Devil's Due. Hands down one of the scariest quests in Fallout history, it starts by listening to Private Heart's holotape outside the Museum of Witchcraft. Fun place. Too fun for me. We are forced to enter the museum from the basement, and as we go through, we are warned of an imminent danger lurking above. Bodies are dropped from holes in the ceiling, and tremors and growls come at the worst times to keep us on our toes. Finally, we go up the stairs to see the graphic exhibits and are greeted by a savage Deathclaw. So fun. Too fun for me. I gotta let him have all the fun by himself. Practically an impossible fight at lower levels, this is no doubt one of the most stressful moments in the game ever. In one of the rooms near the door, we find the remains of Sergeant Lee, who explains that the package these unfortunate gunners, I can't believe I feel bad for gunners, were shipping was actually the treasured Deathclaw eggs. One pristine Deathclaw egg is left, and from here we are given the choice to return the egg to its mother, or complete the delivery and take it to that snooty Mr. Handing William at the Colonial Tap House in Diamond City.
When I saw my brothers dying at my feet, I felt sorrow. When I defeated an enemy of the Brotherhood, I felt pride. And when I heard your speech about saving the Commonwealth, I felt hope. Don't you understand? I thought I was human, Arthur.
11. Blind Betrayal. Probably one of the greatest morals quests in the game, it begins when Elder Maxon interrogates us for information regarding Paladin Dance. As it turns out, our mentor and sponsor is the embodiment of everything the Brotherhood hates, a synth. After we convince Maxon that we didn't know, he gives us the order to kill Dance, opening up a number of options. Regardless of our response, Maxon sends us to Proctor Quinlan in order to find Dance's location. It is here we are interrupted by Scribe Halen, who is obviously angered by the accusations towards her friend. She pulls us aside and pleads with us to do the right thing and at least hear Dance out, to which we can agree or give a firm no. Halen will tell us about listening post Bravo and says that it's probably where Dance is. Once we head out there, we have to take care of some measly robotic defenses until finding the confused and now self-loathing Dance. It is here we can decide whether to kill him or to convince him that he is more than just a machine. If we choose the second option, Maxon will be angrily waiting for us outside, wondering why we have disobeyed his orders. From here we are able to carry out the order, urge Maxon to kill Dance, or convince him that Dance is human. As much of a wet blanket as Dance is, the character does mean a lot to me for personal reasons, and I could never kill him.
Strong says more super mutants are on their way. By the way, he's with me. Please, don't shoot him.
10. Curtain Call. This hack-and-slash quest is started by listening to the distress call coming from Trinity Tower's radio. Apparently, a bunch of super mutants have a man named Rex Goodman held hostage. After throwing ourselves headfirst into danger for this man, we learn from the super mutant leader Fist that they were actually just using Rex's broadcast to lure in humans. So, we must fight our way up through the tower to where Rex and the friendly super mutant Strong are being held. After killing Fist, we are able to free the strange duo, then take the elevators down the sides of the building. This then turns into a vertical scrolling shooter, which is actually quite a shift in gameplay, but in more of a refreshing way than an annoying way. Being kind of a history, literature buff, I really love the symbolism of this quest, and how when you're going down the elevators, Rex is giving a passionate monologue from the Tempest. Hearing hell is empty and all the devils are here while you're gunning down super mutants is just one of those things that makes you stop and think for a second. After saving the two captives, you are able to part ways in the lobby of the tower. This quest also unlocks Strong as a companion who is hell-bent on finding the milk of human kindness.
You know, in all my years, I've never set foot outside the Institute. Not once. Since the day they brought me here. I've never had a reason.
9. The Battle of Bunker Hill. This quest is given by Father in the Institute, who after a moral discussion about theft, asks his parent to go with the courser to retrieve quote-unquote stolen synths that are being kept by the lovely old man Stockton in Bunker Hill. If you've joined all factions, you can choose to inform the Brotherhood and the Railroad of your mission. The Railroad will instruct you to kill the courser and leave the synths alone, and the Brotherhood will instruct you to kill the synths. So from here now you have 3 options. If you choose the second and third options, when you return to Father, he will be quite angry. If you slip up and tell him the truth, you risk being banished from the Institute, so I do suggest lying. I love the historical references in this quest, and how it is one of those points in the game where you really feel you have to choose who you're really loyal to. You also get a better chance to learn about Sean's personality.
Think I'm stupid? I saw the way he looked looked at you. You gonna tell me that's nothing?
It wasn't like that. We were friends. He helped me out of a tight spot or two is all.
8. Brain Dead. This 2-part quest is very Old World Blues-esque by the nature of those you are helping. After being guided by the friendly Miss Nanny Pearl to Vault 118 within the Cliff's Edge Hotel, we are presented with the crime scene of the heinous murder of Ezra Parker. The Mr. Handy Maxwell gets all the residents' attentions and then makes them return to their rooms so we can get on with the investigation, Watson. The residents of the vault are all strong personalities. There is Santiago the painter, Gilda and Keith the actors, and Juliana and her husband Bert, who is a scientist. After discovering Keith's baseball bat at the crime scene, we are given the option to accuse him of the murder, which he will heartily deny. Talking with the different residents also reveals that Juliana and Ezra had an argument, since Ezra was embezzling. I don't actually want to give away the ending to this quest because it took me completely by surprise. So just go play it and have fun. By the way, this quest is added with the Far Harbor DLC.
You stuck your neck out for me. I don't forget things like that.
7. Long Road Ahead. This is the companion quest of Robert Joseph McCready, who can be hired for a minimum of 200 caps in the Third Rail Bar in Good Neighbor. After reaching at least 250 affinity with him, he will express his growing trust for the sole survivor, and asks them to help him out take out 2 gunners that were harassing him in the bar, Winlock and Barnes. So we travel to Mass Pike Interchange and deal with them. For lower level characters, I recommend exercising caution as they do put up a worthy fight. After this, McCready will be much more relieved, and you will have to travel with him more until his affinity reaches 750. He will pull the sole survivor aside again and give them a little background, telling him about his son, Duncan, and his wishes to find a cure for his illness. He describes a traveler telling him about a cure located in MedTech research and asks the sole survivor to take him there. The place is crawling with ghouls, but nothing a well-prepared person can't handle. The cure is located on the lowest level, of course. After this, McCready will thank them profusely and ask them to bring the cure to Daisy and Good Neighbor so it can get to Duncan. What I love about this quest is how McCready goes from just another merc to so much more, and how it also requires patience and the building up of trust between him and the sole survivor.
What would you do if your family was destroyed by a synth right in front of you when you were but a child? Would you roll over and accept it? Or would you do something about it?
6. Human Error. Quite the morals quest, if you ask me. It is started after gaining entry to Covenant and talking to Honest Dan. He will reveal that he is working for that lovely railroad chap, Old Man Stockton, and looking for his daughter and other members of a missing caravan. So, Dan asks for our help on his investigation. Covenant is an eerily cheerful town, and none of the residents seem very keen on divulging any information. One can get a little bit from Penny in her store, who will unintentionally reveal the existence of a compound. The location of the compound can then be discovered on Jacob's terminal, causing Honest Dan to be much more relieved and requesting that you all head there immediately. One will then be stopped by Jacob, who implores the sole survivor to cease their investigation, which one can accept or refuse. Off to the compound, then. Here we learn from Dr. Chambers that the SAFE test, or GOAT, is being perfected by her and her team to weed out synths in order to kill them, and she reveals she has plans to destroy all the synths. She will offer us a deal, leave her alone, and get rewarded. From here, you can either accept the deal, refuse the deal, or accept the deal with the condition that Amelia Stockton goes free. This quest, I feel, shows the rotten core of humanity, and I love how it really comes down to the question of morals and whether you think synths are human or not. I think, therefore I am.
I am Captain Ironsides, commander of the USS Constitution. You visit this fine vessel in trying times. It calmed these long years on her airy perch. Damn you, Weatherby Savings and Loan! I spit at you.
5. The Last Voyage of the USS Constitution. Loosely based on Monty Python's The Crimson Permanent Assurance, this is no doubt one of the most bizarre and hilarious quests in the game. Identified as a registered U.S. citizen by the lookout, the sole survivor is welcomed aboard the USS Constitution. We speak with the wonderful Captain Ironsides, who tells us about the ship's needed repairs, and we also have to fight off some of these scavengers. After this, we speak with Bosun, who needs some simple repairs that can be taken care of with a good amount of intelligence, and a navigator who sends us to pick up parts. We must speak with the scavenger's leader, Mandy, who is a greedy woman who wishes to strip the Constitution for parts. We are given the option to join the scavengers or remain loyal to Ironsides. I would advise against going with the humans only because the payoff of siding with Ironsides is bigger, and the scavengers will betray you anyway. So after completing all the necessary repairs on the Constitution, the scavengers lead one final assault on the robots. They are a bit stronger than the average raider, but with the cannons and the tactical advantage of height and manpower, they become mere cannon fodder. After this, Ironsides gives us a generous reward and sends us on one final favor, to start up the auxiliary power and watch one of the greatest things in Fallout history to unfurl.
Gotta love the irony of the reverse damsel in distress scenario. Question is, why did our heroine risk life and limb for an old private eye?
4. Unlikely Valentine. The fourth quest in the main story, it is given to the sole survivor by Ellie Perkins in the Valentine Detective Agency in Diamond City, or it will automatically be started if one enters Vault 114 and finds Nick early. The private eye Nick Valentine has gone missing, and he is the only one capable of finding Sean. So the sole survivor must fight through the triggermen of Vault 114 in order to find Sir Saltiness himself and free him. It being such an early quest in the main storyline, the triggermen aren't too much of a challenge. Nick is being held captive in the Overseer's office, and when found by the sole survivors being taunted by Dino. When Nick is freed, he thanks them and offers to help them find Sean, then leads them through the vault until finally coming to the ironically named Skinny Malone and his new flame Darla. This is where the quest can go a number of ways depending on the sole survivor's charisma and whether or not they've checked in with Mama Murphy before beginning the quest. Either way, you and Nick leave. I really love the noir feel of this quest, and it was the first quest in the game that really made me sit back and go, wow. I just felt like I'd waltzed right into a detective novel.
I'll admit, I didn't think you'd make it this far.
3. A Magical Kingdom. This quest is started by entering Kitty Kingdom and being greeted by the taunt of a ghoul's voice over the park announcement system. He goads for us to search for him in the employee tunnels, funhouse, and theater, which are located throughout the park. The park is overrun with feral ghouls, and some of the rides are still operational, making getting around tricky. In the employee tunnels, we find the owner of the voice, Oswald the Outrageous, talking with one of the feral ghouls about being out of costume until he disappears in a cloud of smoke. In the theater, we are greeted in the traditional magician's manner, an enthusiastic announcement, then Oswald making his grand entrance. He gives us a small speech about magic and the ghouls, then battles us until making his exit. Finally, in the ridiculous ridiculousness that is the funhouse, we find ourselves in the twisting and turning hallways and obstacles, all being run by that pesky magician. It is actually all pretty fun in its own way, and the funhouse is one of the things that makes this quest very unique. After completing his challenges, Oswald invites us to meet him atop King Cola's castle. It is here we are given the option to convince him to leave with a speech check, kill him, or if one has recovered Rachel's holotape, present it to him. Either way, the magician will be taken care of and Kitty Kingdom will be ours. If it's not obvious, this is added with the Nuka World DLC.
I did it. I killed a woman from Far Harbor and replaced her. I stripped a simp's identity from her and made her an agent.
2. The Way Life Should Be. After accessing Dima's first memory, we learn about the location of a secret medical facility located in the Vimpot factory. This quest is triggered shortly after entering the factory, which is infested with super mutants. Working our way down, we make it to the place where Dima had kept his skeletons in the closet. Digging up the grave reveals the skeleton of the real Captain Avery, along with a holotape containing a recorded conversation between Dima and a synth that volunteered to take Avery's place. You can always take this information to the people of Far Harbor directly. Telling Avery will cause her to plead her to keep her secret safe. Taking it to that bastard Alan will drive him to assemble a lynch mob and lay waste to Acadia. Taking her findings to Dima will cause him to become overcome with guilt. He can be convinced to take the truth to Far Harbor, and when the sole survivor gets there, the harbor men and women will be assembled there to hear what the old synth has to say. Dima will present the truth to the people and pay for it with his life. Afterwards, if you've done enough favors for the residents, they can be convinced to leave Acadia alone. Otherwise, Alan and the people will burn Acadia to the ground. Finally, one can take the information to Dima and agree to keep his secret, which will then start a new quest to replace High Confessor Tectus with a synth in order to stop the hostility between the children of Adam and the people of Far Harbor. The last option is the only one that leads to peace on the island.
Ever listen to the Silver Shroud? That's what we need. No matter how bleak things got, he saved the day.
And for number 1, I have chosen the Silver Shroud. Death has come for you, evildoer, and I am its shroud. Now, as you guys know, I am an avid comic book fan, so getting to pretty much be a crime-fighting vigilante that is saving the streets of Good Neighbor appealed to me very much. This quest starts after talking to Kent Connolly, who is an idealistic ghoul reliving the memories of the Silver Shroud through the old radio plays. He reveals that he has a plan to bring the Shroud back as a real person, and asks if the sole survivor can travel to Hubris Comics to find the costume. So now we get to go to a comic book store! Huzzah! The store, of course, is infested with ferals, because what were you expecting? Something easy? Ha! The costume is kept on the stage on the top floor, and there's also Shroud memorabilia hidden in the store that can be brought back to Kent. After this, he offers the sole survivor the silver submachine gun and encourages them to take on the mantle of the Shroud. So we hit the streets of Good Neighbor, tuned into the radio, and get to take down some of the nasty people causing trouble. After this, Hancock requests to speak to us and sends us after 2 goons, Smiling Kate and Northy, to track down an evil ghoul named Sinjin. But, oh no! Kent has been captured and tortured by Sinjin and his crew, and now we have to go rescue him. Sinjin's men are all just normal raiders, so it's not very difficult. If one has high enough charisma, they'll be able to save Kent from Sinjin. If not, the poor fanboy will die. Either way, Sinjin will meet his maker, and we'll be rewarded by the mayor himself for our heroic acts in Good Neighbor. I hope you've enjoyed my list and found it helpful. You know, I'm really proud of my character that I created for this video, Lida Rose. You know, she's a fine woman. Remember to like and subscribe. Bye.
Do you believe in kissing, honey? You bet I do. Well, I believe in kissing, honey, when the moon